Hi, this is Paul Erdos. This is my persuasive speech project for my Communications 101 class for Liberty University Online. Cicero said that the first bond of society is marriage. And I'd like to present just a persuasive argument that holds up the biblical model of marriage. I'm going to contrast that with the cultural trends of cohabitation. I want to look at, first of all, I want to look at what those trends are. Secondly, I want to look at what the societal ramifications of that have been, what the results are as society breaks down as a result of that. And thirdly, I want to look at the biblical solution, which is the biblical model of marriage. So, first of all, to know about myself, I'm a pastor, and of course in ministry I've been a counselor to marriages and to other life problems, and for going on 10 years now. And so I have a first-hand view of the, I guess you could say, the effects of what the current cultural trends and views are concerning marriage. And so I want to look at those three elements. The very first thing I want to look at is a study that was done by the CDC, which is the Center for Disease Control. It's interesting that they would have a lot of this statistical data, but they have shown that 48%, which is nearly half of all romantic relationships that occur today, first enter into what is called a cohabitation stage rather than marriage. That means simply that two people are romantically involved and they choose to live together. And a lot of times they'll use an analogy of test driving a car. And so they, in the current cultural trend of our country, a lot of people say, well, what's the problem with that? Well, the CDC has found that there's two major results of that. The first one is that that's the fastest growing demographic of childbirth in our country. And that is made more alarming by the second fact that it's also, they found that those cohabitation relationships are more likely to end and to be short-lived and not result in a long-term marriage. So that means that we're left with more single mothers at a faster rate than any time that our society has ever increased. Now that's important because the second point, that there are direct documentable results that have come from this breakdown of the biblical marriage model. The Initiative for Fatherhood is not a Christian organization, but they have compiled quite an amount of research that shows that there's a direct link to children raised up in this demographic setting of a single parent home being raised just by their mother, where there's increased likelihood of incarceration, emotional and behavioral problems, and even short life. And then one of the other problems is teen pregnancy is a big result of the same thing, which begins the cycle again. And so this is an issue that really impacts every one of us, whether we're aware of it or not. I want to present as my third and final point that the biblical model is still the solution. The biblical model is that a man and a woman are committed to each other for life. If I can see the time. The biblical model is that a man and woman are committed to each other for life, and he uses the marriage as the foundation to promote lawfulness, integrity, and citizenship through parental involvement and accountability and instruction. So in conclusion, I wanted to show you those things, the current trends, the results of those trends, and then what the biblical solution is. To go back and use that analogy of people test driving a car, I would counter that argument with this, that you test drive a car just temporarily, but after you have that car, you're stuck with it. Never mind, I just lost where I was going with that. I'll have to edit that out. Stop it.